British middleweight champion Mick Leahy versus Wally Swift. A title bout at Nottingham Ice Stadium. And it's the end. Referee Jack Hart doesn't hesitate. And the new middleweight champion Wally Swift wins the Lonsdale belt, presented by Lord Scarsdale.
23 years on, Wally Swift is still very much a boxing man. But after 88 professional bouts, his main interest these days is in his two boxing sons. 20-year-old Wally Jr., a talented light middleweight, and Tony, just 18, but with half a dozen good victories already under his belt. Unlike most boxers, the Swift lads have impressive academic records. Tony possesses 8 O-levels, and young Wally went to Manchester University. But this mixture of brawn and brains comes as no great surprise to their father, who's invested wisely over the years with the money he made as a fighter.
Well, you need brains to box. You know, if your opponents is equal on everything, strength, physique, the one eventually who'll succeed will be the one with the best brains. Take it from me. You need brains to box.
Wally Jr. and Tony are too young to remember their father's glory days and have only scrapbook memories to rely upon. But to them, boxing has always been a part of their lives.
Been at it since we've been kids. It's been part of his life. Seems a shame to throw it away. Someone will just carry on, see, hopefully we'll make it. And if we don't, then it's a bit of bad luck, but hopefully we'll make it and make a name for ourselves.
So we both got steady jobs, so we're always learning something to fall back on if the boxing don't go.
The two lads are managed by their father. They live at the family home at Knowle in Warwickshire. And until now, Wally Jr. has been boxing under an assumed name. It's helped to take some of the publicity pressure off an aspiring talent.
They're certainly both better than I was. That's a fact. There's no such thing as people saying to me, or saying to the lads, oh, you'll never be as good as your dad. They'll be better. And I think Wally's better than me now.
Well, he's asked the question so many times, I think he's just like a guard. I mean, whether it's true or not, it's immaterial, really. It's just something to say to him. Hopefully we are. If we are, then we ought to both be champions, I think.
Well, athletics now, and appearing in Great Britain's Indoor International in Hungary this week, a remarkable newcomer.
Welcome to Fight Night from the Victoria Leisure Centre in Nottingham, where the unbeaten light heavyweight Tony Wilson faces the biggest test of his career. Can Wilson make it 10 out of 10 by beating the experienced Londoner Keith Bristol and so earn himself the right to a challenge to Tom Collins for his British title? Well, Wilson, who's from Wolverhampton, turned pro 2 years ago after boxing for Great Britain in the Los Angeles Olympics. He's won 8 of his 9 contests inside the distance, the latest coming against Pat Strawn from the Bahamas on Fight Night back in December.
Oh, what a punch! Rocked into his boots, and the referee's got to stop it.
Keith Bristol provides the toughest test so far for Wilson. He fought Dennis Andrews for the British title 13 months ago and has been beaten only 8 times in 32 fights. So, it's the final eliminator then for the British light heavyweight title. It's scheduled for 10 rounds as we join our commentators Jim Watt and Reg Gutteridge.
Well, I hope that Mickey Van doesn't have too much to say to them, because there's a lot of tension flying around, it would seem, between Wilson and Bristol. And a very important contest now, because the winner of this one is an officially ordered final eliminator to fight Tom Collins of Leeds now for the British Championship. Tony Wilson now in the red trunks, a known real hard puncher. On the other hand, Keith Bristol knows his way around a bit. He's had 3 fights with Dennis Andries. He didn't win any of them, though. But boxed in good company. And I don't think that they're going to be larking around at the start of this one. It's scheduled for 10. There you are. You see, Mickey Van Eyck, I had a feeling he might have to dive in a bit early and stamp his little bit of authority on the fight at the start. As they were sort of gesturing before the fight with showing each other the right hand punch. This is what you're going to get, etc. A bit of show business has been creeping into this game quite a bit since our man Muhammad Ali. But on paper, I must say, Jim, it looks a very even match.
Yeah, it is an even match. I would say probably Wilson has the edge in most departments except experience. But we can see what Wilson has in his mind. He's not looking to land any feeler-type punches. It's power with every punch he's set to throw here.
Oh, and as you said it, I'll tell you that, Jim, what a right-hand punch. He got right in close before he threw it, and it looks as though it's all going to be all over in the first. What a punch. 9 and out, and he's got to be counted out, as they say, in the act of rising. No, he's saying box on. I don't believe that one. I really don't believe that one, because he was definitely more than 10 seconds. And now he's out on the commentary position box, and there's no way that he can allow this contest to go on. And he's going through the formality. They actually allowed more than 10 to get back in the ring if they're out of the ring, and they mustn't get back with anybody else pushing them back. And I'm sorry that he didn't stop it right away, Jim.
That right-hand punch that put Bristol over was a cracking punch. He did not recover from it. I'm surprised. I suppose that the fact that there was a title fight for the winner at stake, he maybe allowed it to go on a little bit longer than he should have done. But that right hand finished it for Bristol. I don't think the referees allowed it to go any further.
And we'll have a look at it now in replay, Jim. We'll just see that first knockdown. Obviously, this is the one, of course, that created all the damage. And there it is, bang. He brought it right over the top, landed perfectly, and he was going to throw another one, but there was no way it would ever reach down there. And the second replay, Jim?
Yeah, that was a perfect right-hand punch, the one that put him over. He never really got a chance to recover from it. Bristol was really finished for the night. He didn't have anything to offer at all. Unfortunately, he went through the ropes just a bit now, and he could have seriously injured himself. But Wilson came tonight with one thing in his mind, and he achieved that. But thankfully, Bristol doesn't seem to have been injured, but that was a terrible fall out of the ring, which I feel was a little bit unnecessary.
Tony, congratulations. That is the most experienced opponent you've met, but surely you didn't think it would finish that quickly.
No. He was a great fighter. Kept moving. I know that before the fight that would be awkward. I was listening to about 6-7 rounds, but I was shocked the way it came, but the way we trained, me and Jimmy, and the way Jimmy was telling me, keep repeating, that was a bit hard.
But you were obviously looking for the big punch and not a series of punches, the way you were shaping up.
Not really, because the point was, we know that he was slippery, and he throwing right hands. And I realised when he threw his right hand, he was leaving himself open. So I threw the right hand over, with a bit of luck, it connected.
Well, let's take you through the 2 knockdowns. This is the first one.
Well, I can see that he let his guard down and just threw the right hand over.
Were you surprised that the referee didn't stop it at that point?
Yes, I did. He was hurt. But again, the referee, you got to agree with everything the referee says.
Well, you got on with it, and what happens here?
Well, I just saw that he was hurt, so I just kept piling him punches. And that to stop it, he was hurt badly. And I thank God that he never got hurt. We're going to give Keith Bristol a lot of credit, because he's a great fighter.
Well, he didn't look a great fighter tonight because you didn't allow him to.
Yeah.
You were in terrific form there, 10 out of 10, and suddenly you're in for a British title.
Oh, yes. Well, I'll leave it up to my trainer, my manager. Yeah, fight a British title now.
The one thing is, of course, we don't know quite whether you're going to be tested yet. I mean, you haven't been 10 rounds.
No, but I train for 10 rounds.
You train for 10 rounds?
I mean, going distance is no problem, really, because with the training what we go through is a kind of like a special type of training, and it's very hard, and to do 10 rounds, I was looking forward to do 10 rounds.
Well, you've beaten Pat Strawn on fight night, and you've had a sensational fight here tonight. We're going to watch your career with progress. Congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
Fine performance tonight then from Tony Wilson, and on that form, well, he could well beat Tom Collins when they meet for the British title. We need to take a short break, but don't go away. Plenty more good action from Nottingham, including the local boy, the new British cruiserweight champion, Roy Smith. We'll be right back. to that British champion, the local Nottingham lad, Roy Smith, who won the British Cruiserweight title in Alfreton on fight night a month ago with a very impressive win over Andy Strawn. Now it's his first appearance back since then in front of his local crowd, and he's up against the experienced Alex Panarski, who's making a comeback after 2 years' absence from the ring. It's scheduled for 8 3-minute rounds.
So there it is then, a big night for Roy Smith, his first appearance now in front of his home crowd as the new British Cruiserweight champion. And the rundown there from referee Paul Thomas with the old-timer Alex Panarski, who's been through this before a few times.
For round one.
So a champion appearance then by Roy Smith, but it's a non-title 8-rounder. And Alex Panarski from Chesterfield, although he's been living in Bolton for quite a while, came in as a substitute. Original opponent Chris Devine went down with flu, and he's a hard old nut. At 33, he said, I know the wife and kids are going to stay up and watch this tonight, and I want to do well. So there you are, young Kate and Mark, if you're watching up in Bolton. Dad's going to have a go at the champion. And of course, Roy Smith is also a part-timer, and I don't think you should worry about that because we've got a world champion called Terry Marsh who's also a part-timer. In his case, a fireman. In Smith's case, security man. The weights weren't divulged. They both came in beneath 13.10, and the reason for that is that if it was at 13.8 announced and Panarski should throw a Sunday punch and knock the champion out, they could declare the championship vacant, even though it's an officially non-title fight. So they've done that really from the start of boxing, 2 pounds over the championship limit. Well, Panarski's played a bit of American-style football now, apparently. The right guard with the New Bolt Braves, and it looks, Jim, as though that's what he's been doing this last year or so, the way he's sparring there.
Yeah, well, I don't think Panarski intends trying to match Smith for speed. I was very impressed with Smith when he won the title. Very sharp, he moves around well, he has good balance, and some of the nice, clever little right hands he threw were impressive. So he's the type of fighter who can take his time and enjoy himself, and I think Alex is going to have a hard job matching him in any department.
Yes, he fought a very brainy contest against Andy Strawn at Alfreton on fight night last month. So it's good to see a champion back in action again, and particularly in his hometown. And then looking forward to trying to defend his title in Nottingham. We haven't seen a title fight here since Dave Needham and Paddy Maguire. Hard nut to crack, Alex Panarski, but Smith has the boxing ability. And there's the career record then for Roy Smith. He's lost to Sammy Reeson, who previously held the championship twice. Stopped by Jimmy Price. It's the only time he's actually taken account, apparently, in his pro career, Roy Smith. And the face coming into the picture there is a former welterweight and middleweight champion of Britain, Wally Swift from Nottingham. So there's Panarski then at 33, you could say, coming towards the end of having his last fling there with Tommy Brooks working in the ring, and the old veteran there, Billy Shimfield, outside.
Round 2.
Into round 2 then of the scheduled 8-rounder. A show here in the Nottingham Leisure Centre, sponsored by Croxley Script as usual on this series. And it looks as though it's going to be lively too at the start, because obviously Panarski knows he has no chance of outpointing Smith. He just isn't sharp enough or has the style to do it. He's got to do it with strength and roughhouse stuff. He went 10 rounds with Dennis Andrews, the former world champion, then back in '81, and he has a win over the present champion, Tom Collins. That's the light heavyweight championship, not cruiserweight. Well, he hasn't fought Panarski since October '85, Jim, but I tell you, he must have got himself into a bit of shape for this. Maybe that American football's done him some good.
Yeah, but he's looking fit enough. I don't know, maybe if he reckons he has 5 or 6 good rounds in him and he's just going to have a real go in the early stages, or if he reckons he's fit enough to hold this pace all the way through. I don't know. But I think the biggest danger at this moment to Smith is maybe an accidental clash of heads, because once in the first round and twice already in this round they've banged together, and thankfully no damage has occurred. But I think Smith is getting a little bit too involved with Panarski. He wants to stand off just another 6 or 7 inches and just try to keep him on the end of the jab. He doesn't really want to get too much involved with Panarski.
Oh, and it looks so referee Thomas is just telling Mr. Panarski, don't rough it up too much. A minute left in the second. A lot of patience, Roy Smith. We saw that when he took the title from Andy Strawn. Just allowed Strawn, if I remember, to get on top a little bit, and then he just boxed his way into style, and he really won in style as well. As you say, Jim, they've got to keep turning the head away there. I'd hope that the clash of heads doesn't spoil this contest. I tell you what, if you went to central casting, you'd have no trouble here picking the face of the villain of the two, would you?
See, when Smith boxed for the title, he showed a lot of caution in the early rounds. His concentration was good. He didn't make any mistakes. I think he's maybe just a little bit eager to please. I think he's the champion and he wants to please his local fans, but he's a little bit too quick off the mark at times.
A little bit of a spraying job there for Panarski, and here's the career record. As I said, he's